Okay. Well, welcome everybody. Let's begin. I guess I want to take like the rounds and ask everybody about the Spartan challenge and what they were feeling in their lives. Why did it resonate with them to start?
Yeah. Well, just for myself, it was really just happy coincidence. I'd been trying a lot of the different parts of the Spartan challenge on my own for 4 or 5 months. And then I saw your video and it just seemed kind of like destiny. So I hopped on it. I made a plan 4 or 5 days out from when I saw the video and executed on that as best I could. And now I'm almost 2 weeks in.
Nice. And like, what are some things that you've been struggling with? Because I have plenty myself, but it's nice to hear
Oh,
other
man.
people going through it.
I mean, it's a little embarrassing to talk about, but just the simple things, planning your time, using the little spaces of time in between your duties effectively, and being honest with yourself. I know I told myself, well, I'm gonna I'm gonna run in the morning and I'm gonna hit the gym in the afternoon, and then I'm gonna do my sports, and I'm still gonna go to work and go to school, and um, you know, cutting out stuff that you don't need, stuff that's
Important.
making everything, yeah, make picking what's important, yeah, identifying what is absolutely important for your personal goals when it comes to the Spartan challenge, and
Just elevating in life,
yeah.
huh? Everybody feels like there's something missing. I guarantee it. Everybody watching that video, they want more out of life and something doesn't seem right. Like you're not supposed to be here kind of feeling. I get that people have, at least a few that have messaged me directly, but everybody else feel free to jump in. Whoever wants to share why they got started, how they were feeling before the challenge. And we'll just let it go from there. Let's just talk freely about what we're struggling with and how it's been in the community. So if anybody wants to volunteer, go ahead, or else I could just get started too and continue on.
I got a pretty long story. Basically, I wasted my 20s.
Tell the story, brother.
I got with a woman at the end of high school. We were together for 7 years, had 2 kids, and she ended up completely changing. And my kids ended up getting abused by her new boyfriend after we broke up, right? So, I'm a single parent. I got full custody of my kids in 2014. They both went to prison. She's been in and out of rehab, in and out of jail ever since. She's finally like living at a trailer at her mom's land, but not really in the position to be a good mom, right? She gets the kids on the weekends. I have the kids full time. And, I've been just dealing with depression, anxiety, like a lot of feelings that come with seeing a person you love for 7 years fucking up their life, as well as raising kids and, that whole thing. So I used to have tons of motivation, right? And after all this happened, I just lost that luster for life. And I've just been kind of floating along, playing video games and, just working and not really having a direction since then. It kind of threw me off course. So, I just logged like 400 hours in Elden Ring, which just came out like 3 months ago. And then I saw the Spartan challenge. I'm like, this is a perfect motivator to get back on the path I used to be on back in the day. Like after the breakup, I just spiraled into, promiscuity, going out, karaoke, hooking up with random chicks, doing whatever. And it was just a big waste of time. Now I'm 34. I got nothing to look back on, and I got my kids. I got everything. I got my own little paint business, but I just didn't have the motivation. And then I saw everybody doing their thing, and it inspired me to get going. And so I got back in the gym, got a gym membership, quit playing video games, deleted all my social media because that's a big time waster for me, and got back on my shit.
Nice. How is it? I wanted to ask, how is it when you log in and just see people doing check-ins and like pictures getting posted and their stats recorded? Like, how does that make you feel?
It's inspiring. I saw one dude had a checklist that he put on a notepad, so I made myself a little checklist of the things I need to do, little weekly checklist, and I try to mark off as many as I can. And it's making me feel good. Like, I haven't been able to take a deep breath because of stress, and getting into Wim Hof and doing the breathing exercises, taking cold showers, the whole deal, and getting back into working out. I've been taking my kids out on a jog every night. My kids are 9 and 11, both boys. They're running 1.5, 2 miles with me every single night. Right.
Nice.
So it's gotten me off the computer and back into doing what I'm supposed to do. And I'm actually feeling better than I have in probably 10 years.
Wow.
Just from a few days of getting into this.
And what's been some of the like harder point? Have you hit a bit of a snag anywhere, or you're just coasting on upwards for the moment?
Trying to throw too many things into the schedule. Like, I've been missing out on the hour of business planning and art that I've been trying to do, like an hour each.
Gotcha.
So I need to cut some of those things down. And then, of course, like, I've been smoking weed since I was 16, so I tried to quit, and I cut down a lot, but I still got my little pen next to me, and I hit it when I need to.
Right. Hey, it works. For some people, it works, man. I know personally I can't. I just get an insane amount of like munchies and a little bit of the paranoia. I noticed for me, it didn't help me sleep, which is what I wanted to use it for. And because I was bulking at the time, I figured I could somehow cheat my way into eating more with marijuana, but I would overeat and then not eat the correct food because obviously you're craving the worst. So I just had to cut it out completely for myself. And, I started reading studies that it's not even that good for you. It has its uses, but it's like every other medicinal kind of drug or pharmaceutical. It's essentially you're targeting one thing, but the side effects, there's a laundry list that you're also going to be dealing with too, that a lot of people don't know about.
Oh, yeah.
One of them is sleep. Like you may be going to sleep, but you're not getting quality, deep sleep.
Yeah, and I haven't remembered one of my dreams. Like, weed makes it so I don't even remember any of my dreams,
Yes.
which isn't that good for you. You know what I mean? Like, I remember maybe 1 or 2 dreams per year at most.
See,
I smoke so much.
And that's the deep sleep aspect. Like, you're going into REM, but you're not getting deep sleep because of the weed. Yeah, and that's why people report, like, as you know, they report like vivid dreams after quitting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh,
yeah,
right.
So I was sitting up and just playing video games for hours a day and watching all the red pill videos and eating munchies and eating the wrong shit, and it just motivated me. I cut out all sugar. Like, I already eat organic. I've been eating organic a while, but I was eating like organic Pop-Tarts and organic cereal and organic bullshit, So I just straight up, I've just been making baked chicken, eggs, steak. I got smoothies that I'm making. I'm just trying to keep everything lean. And I haven't had this much energy. Like, that sugar, you guys don't realize it, but it puts you on these like 45-minute highs, and then it kicks back down. And you got to constantly be intaking sugar in order to keep your energy levels up.
Right.
Well, when you stop eating sugar, you don't have that anymore.
Yeah, did you notice the struggle getting off sugar? And well, you already weren't eating much, but the initial point, were you struggling to get off with the cravings and everything?
You get cravings for all that. Your brain is craving the dopamine fix of all the different things you were doing, from the video games to the porn to sugar to fast food. I mean, we're dopamine addicts. We jump from fix to fix to fix to fix to fix.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else want to jump in? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to jump in. Yeah, so I'm 21 this year, and I'm diabetic, and I'm having quite a struggle with living sugar low because, yeah, as Jake was saying, it's quite a drug. I cannot live easily. At night sometimes I cannot sleep. It's like I'm a drug addict.
Can you fix your mic just a little bit? It's coming in very, very choppy.
Okay, so is this
there
better?
We go. Perfect. Yes.
Yeah. So, I was diagnosed with diabetes when I was 16. Mm-hmm. And since then, I have been trying my best to reduce my sugar intake. But as you say, sugar is in everything that we eat today. So it's been quite difficult. And since I'm not, you can say, I just started working recently. so I can control my diet now. But when I was with my parents, it was quite difficult
Yes.
because, yeah, I cannot tell them you can't eat this, you can't eat that. They'll eat what they want.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very difficult. Have you noticed any changes now that you've cut out sugar? Have you been cutting it out? Are you losing weight?
Yeah, I lost about 5 kgs or 11 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, I have been on hike for 2 days. It was a 26 kilometers hike,
Nice.
and it's been quite interesting. First 3 days I was like, I felt like I haven't slept for a week. I was so down on energy. I was craving that sugar hit. That Yeah, it was quite difficult for the first few days, but after my body got used to it, then I didn't crave the sugar so much. I was much more energetic.
Very nice. And how many days are you into the challenge yourself?
I'm 8 days.
8 days. Wow. And then you started the sugar, cutting out the sugar on the first day, or were you already doing that before the challenge?
Yeah, I was trying before the challenge, but you can say the challenge motivated me to cut the sugar at all. I don't take sugar at all now.
Wow.
Zero sugar.
Wow, congratulations. That's amazing. That's like the power of just having a community and just people checking in daily with what they're doing.
I was nervous before this session started, but as Jake was speaking, it inspired me. Yes, I'm doing this for a reason.
Yes. So everybody doing this essentially has a feeling that something's wrong, that they deserve more out of life, that they should have more out of life, that they're capable of more. And we just need a little push and a little, lift and an example from somebody else that just shows you like, hey, here's another just normal man, real men out in the world doing the same thing I'm trying to do, struggling the same way I'm struggling. It's not we often as men think like we're the only ones that suffer in the way we do and that nobody else really understands our problems. But it's very surprising when you start to speak with other men, a ton of other men, that you see that we're all kind of going through the same thing and struggling with the same thing and have the same kind of feelings. Like we know we're capable of more, but we've never had examples of how to do more or men around us doing more that we can essentially mimic and copy. So this is why I had like the Discord idea was just amazing to do the Spartan challenge with, because keeping ourselves accountable is difficult when no one's looking. And then you tend to get some sort of stress from life. Say a family member dies or work, you get fired, you lose your girlfriend, something, and then we all go down the spiral, right? And then we revert to what we know to cope with, which is always going to be porn, video games, sweets, bad foods. And it's unfortunate, man, because as men, nobody's taught us. A bunch of us in here have been raised in single family homes, and we've never had the guidance of how to properly manage emotions and manage our needs and wants and everything else. So when life throws something negative your way, everybody's quick to go to the very basic instinct of how do I soothe myself? And of course, you're going to go to something like porn, right? And then we see this in the check-in and in the challenges that quite a few men here, it's shocking just how addictive porn has become into the day-to-day lives of men here when they're telling, we're reading things like, I'm on day 3 and 4. I don't know if I can do this part of the challenge, right? Like you're reading stuff like men are failing on, imagine failing day 3 or 4, like how accustomed and programmed we've become, right? The little self-control we have left, that 3-4 days of not masturbating, it's like one of the most difficult portions of this entire challenge for people. I mean, wow.
I think a lot of the problem is porn itself. Like there's a website called yourbrainonporn.com, and it talks about how the modern internet porn just wreaks havoc on our dopamine and our basically it's made to addict us. So, I think that a lot of people, it's like going through any other addiction recovery, because that's how addictive it is. There's even a website called fightthenewdrug.com, which is about quitting porn. These developers know it's like a drug to our brain. They're taking advantage of our psychology for us to spend money and time and energy and, So
Right,
we
it's
have
developed.
to really be conscious.
Yeah, it's developed to be that addicting, and then it strikes at the heart of what men want, which is sex, right? It's this is why they say essentially social media for women is what porn is to men, because the way they seek attention and validation from men is the way we seek sex, right? It's the same formula, except social media has their brains wired perfectly for that, and our brains are wired perfectly for porn.
Yeah, they're addicted to comfort over doing the hard and necessary things to make their lives better.
Yeah, if I could add on that,
Please go ahead.
like the reason why I got interested in Bo's and Sophie's videos were the aspect of gaming addiction, and the fact that like you probably get some achievements when you've been playing games for so long, and you have that feeling of if I quit now, then all those achievements were for nothing.
Yes.
And when you come in the real
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much, Arzen. Svix went from soda to apples, stepped down off apples after that. Tiny victories are what makes progress obtainable. Totally agree. Thank you so much for the 5, brother. Jump back in.
world, you have no achievements, and it's like, okay, I've just been wasting my time. Huh?
Yes, that's a perfect point you brought up. So the video games thing is, I was addicted myself in my teens. I played so much, I don't think many know, unless you've seen the actual videos where I talked about it. I went to game tournaments, and a bunch of my friends I used to play with went professional. And some of them still play and play for money, and they won tournaments in multiple games. So I know all too well the video game addiction. I would wake up like 2 PM. I would play until like 4 AM, rinse and repeat, nonstop. It lived like a hermit life, was addicted to games. That's where all my friends were. And it wasn't until I left the home and went to college that I broke that addiction. But in essence, this is what's happening. It's become, for a lot of men, the only way to connect with other men. And it's almost like a social proof now, because if you get online, the way you'll get addicted is you get into a game lobby, you have an incredible game, a high kill count score, whatever it is, and then you get a pat on the back from all the friends you play with. That's essentially the highest dopamine hit you'll get, is when you have that perfect game, and that's the game you'll always chase. And notice that when you go and play video games more and more, you're just chasing the perfect match, and the rest are terrible. The rest stress you out. You have stupid teammates.
That is something.
Yes.
The thing about the friends, now that I think about it, on PoE I had about 200 or 300 friends, regular friends I talk to every day. In real life, pretty much none.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
something.
Yes. So you make these friend groups online, and then the way you bond with each other is through the game you're playing and how well you perform. Because let's be honest, in those video games, if you don't perform at a certain level, your friends don't want to play with you. You don't get invited anymore, right? Or you have to be good enough to be able to play with the guys you're playing with. That's why they play with you, in the first place. So you've earned stripes. You've earned a little like social proof. Like, this guy's good enough, invite him to play. And then men get trapped into that lifestyle because, again, you get rewarded with little medals, little achievements, these little friend groups that you make that are very like on thin ice. They don't really mean anything, because once that game dies or somebody else does something, gets a job, whatever, the team aspect falls apart, whatever, the game gets boring, it doesn't matter. Now you're left with nothing. And all you have to show for it in the real world, all those hours you spent investing in that game for the so-called fun you had, was a digital picture of an achievement that says you got a perfect match, you didn't die, you got the nuke, you got the whatever, right? You own this team for plus 28 kills, 0 deaths, whatever it is. And that is a high point for you. Instead of it being in the physical realm, like achieving something and standing on a podium, getting a medal, or starting a new hobby, or learning to play the guitar, or, going hiking, whatever it is that has that's in the real world.
Sorry about that.
Oh, there you go.
What I was saying was that was my big problem. I had to stop deriving enjoyment from video games. I was a serious addict as well. I had to reprogram myself and learn to derive enjoyment from the things that men are supposed to derive enjoyment from, like weightlifting. That was never really a big deal for me. I'd always been, just a New Year's joiner, and I wouldn't really stay in any gym past January. But now this last couple of weeks, and just for the first time, I put up big weight, and I got into that flow state where you're kind of like really focused and like not there at the same time. And I couldn't believe what I was doing. And I thought that was like my last rep. And then I pumped out 2 more. And then when I got up off the bench, I felt incredible. Not only like the sense of accomplishment, but like literally like I was flush with dopamine. I felt freaking good. And dude, video games are, I don't know what's worse, video games or porn, but they're neck and neck for sure.
They're trying to get all men addicted to both of those. They're taking advantage of us, The companies literally are formulating the games to be addictive. They're adding things like loot boxes, which are gambling. They're doing whatever they can, the achievements. They're literally trying to make them as addictive.
Actually, actually, they really are.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Math, go ahead.
Because I was really addicted to video game. I used to play World of Warcraft for a while, since the beginning, till recently. And I think there is also a lack of information because you get rapid and easy achievement in the game, which make life interesting because you identify yourself as the character you play. And outside the world, all people say is it's hard. You can do that. You have to pass this or that exam. You have to have that or that paper in order to achieve something. The reality is kind of locked in comparisons of video game.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's an acceptable. It's like Bo, like what you said earlier. It's like the only acceptable form of male competition now, because in the video game I could be like, yeah, fuck that guy, eat my whatever, and out in the real world you can't be aggressive like that, because then people start pulling you aside and be like, hey dude, there's it's like you can't be like that, and I imagine that wasn't the case. But yeah, I mean, in the gym you can get aggressive with the weights, and if you start grunting or whatever, making noise, the guys will come up to you and they'll help you with your reps or whatever. And
right,
and that's another thing.
The physical outlet for people is super important, and men especially. We don't have real physical outlets, or we don't pursue them like we used to anymore. So I always say MMA gyms are perfect because it allows you to go one-on-one against another human being, and it's done in a controlled environment, and you make a friend group of people that at their core understand what like masculinity is, and they're pursuing a physical pursuit, which is one of the hardest, that challenges you not only physically but mentally, because you have to outsmart an opponent, right? But the kind of friendships you make there, I'm telling you, I recommend all men at least go into a gym and take a few classes and see how friendly it is, how welcoming the men there are. You would expect that it would be some macho douchebags that think they're better than you, and it couldn't be further from the truth. These men that constantly test themselves every day physically like that, get choked out or choke other people out, understand real violence, understand like physical conquest and hardship, are some of the friendliest, most understanding men you'll ever meet, because they're allowed to exert themselves physically as men in the most primitive, like, down to the cellular level of what we were made to do. And that is like, it washes over you and it makes you so calm and happy. And you can go out and, say you're in traffic and someone cuts you off. You don't care. You just had an incredible session. You're tired. You've gotten all the aggression out. You feel great, man. The world doesn't bother you anymore. But if you stay at home and you play video games and you don't challenge your body, you don't go to the gym, you don't go running, mountain climbing, whatever it is that your physical pursuit is, that's why it's part of the challenge. If you don't exert this physical energy out, it starts to manifest in a very corrupt way. You get irritable, you get angry, you're like, nobody wants to be around you because you'll talk back.
Yeah.
You're moody all the time, right? Like it starts to manifest in really weird ways when you can't get it out as a man.
Yeah, Bo, I would like to give my example for that.
Yes.
So I was a state level volleyball player, and right before you can say my nationals, I quit the team because I didn't perform in the states quite my best. My teammates were somewhat angry at me that I was being moody. So I was, because games were my only outlet. So I abused the game so much that I became so irritable. I quit the team, and I regret it because now my friends are national level players. Some have gone to become Olympians. So it hurts sometimes to see like I could have been there.
Yes.
Yep.
What about Deo? Would you want to step in?
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. So I wanted to ask you, how did you come across the video, and why did you get the challenge started for yourself as well?
All right. I've been watching the channel now for about 8 months. I'm from Nigeria in Africa, and I just wanted something different for my life. I've always had issue with self-confidence. That's both physically and online. I don't usually have this confidence in myself. I can speak for myself, and I just wanted something different. And I just saw the challenge and I decided to go for it. Basically because of that, because I don't really have problem with most other things. I play video games, but once in a while, I'm kind of a little bit I'll say separated from the physical world. I detach myself from the physical world. I had a depression, and I had depression issue for a while, for about 10 years or so. So it's kind of left me detached from the physical world. I was used to being alone and going my own way, doing things my own way. But one reason why I joined the challenge majorly was I started feeling like probably I wasn't good enough because I'm the second child of three. I have two siblings, an elder sister and a younger brother who are doing very well in what they do. And for me, it seems kind of very hard because I chose a path that most people don't go. I'm from Africa, so we have this belief that you have to go to school, you have to get educated and start working for someone. But I just had this different mindset of going my own way. I just wanted to set and build a life for myself where I don't have to take instruction from people, not because I hate instruction or I hate dictatorship, but because I just felt it wasn't cut out for me. So it got a little bit hard, and I started feeling like probably I wasn't good enough, and it increased my confidence issue, and I just needed something to push me to get better.
How many days in are you in the challenge right now?
Currently on day 15.
Wow. And how has these 15 days been for you so far?
It hasn't really been easy. I find it hard checking in every day. Comes back to the confidence issue. I spend like almost a whole minute thinking if I should or not. But I can see an improvement because compared to the very first day, now I feel a little bit easier when I want to check in. And even at the moment, if it was before, say, a month ago, I wouldn't join this. I wouldn't even come up to speak. I wouldn't message, and I'll just be in the background. I always like being overshadowed, but I'm seeing an improvement, and I'm beginning to put myself out there.
Amazing, man. I love hearing that. Thank you so much for sharing. And
it's good job, man.
Yeah, seriously proud of you. Because when you do the check-ins, you help everybody else, myself included. I use that as motivation when I wake up. And the hardest part is the battle begins the moment you wake up. And do you want to get out of bed? It's too early. I don't want to go running. I don't want to go working. I don't want to do this. I'd just rather sit there and do nothing, right? The voice creeps in your head that stops you from being who you know you should be. And then I'll just check in really quickly and I'll look and I see everybody's pictures. We started a before and after channel. I see everybody checking in, telling their story, like, hey, I failed on this part, but I wrote down in my log this, and this. And I go, okay, I can't just sit here in bed. Look at all these people that are struggling too and trying. Like, you know, it's motivating. And at the same time, I want to be held accountable by everybody else here, because we're doing this for one another as well. It's not just for ourselves, but people don't understand, like, you checking in can affect somebody far beyond what you ever thought possible. Because there could be people just like you lurking in the Discord, just watching, reading the check-ins, and slowly, day by day, they gain a little more confidence to begin their journey as well. Now, it's quite amazing. Yeah. We have no idea where this can lead down the road as new people keep joining and they keep thinking about wanting to change their lives, and they go into these channels and they read all the progress. I mean, just imagine 6 months from now when quite a few of us will be completing, and then quite a few new people will be starting their journey. All the information they'll have to look back on and the progress they're going to see that people make. You know, it's amazing. And for you to be up here, like you said, with the confidence issue and just speaking, man, that's only on 15 days. Like, I imagine what 6 months, who you'll be in 6 months, you know, just keeping at it. And it's getting easier and easier. It's tremendous.
Yeah, man. Like, I can speak from my experience. Like, I used to struggle with social anxiety. And the only thing that was really helping me was to push my boundaries, go out there and do things that you're afraid of. I couldn't even like go to the supermarket. It was so frustrating for myself. And I slowly built that confidence by pushing my limits. So yeah, I'm really happy that you're doing this, and you should look forward to.
Yeah, man. I'm really glad you shared your personal story, man, because honestly, I'm the exact person you are. Maybe not today. I've been on this journey for at least a year or two, but bro, I'm telling you, you know, a year from or 6 months from now, you're gonna be where I'm at, and you know, 6 months from now, hopefully, I'll be much further. I think. Well, I know that you'll be very proud of yourself looking back, because I got chills when you were telling your story, man. Specifically, the part where you said, like, you know, the way that school taught you to behave and to think just didn't work for you, and that you said you felt disconnected from your body. Man, I'm telling you, once you're like using your body and you're comfortable in your own skin with your own muscles and like your posture, and like you realize you're like, man, I actually have like nice shoulders and I have a nice jawline, and you know, it gives you confidence. And bro, you will get there. I promise you. As long as you stay on this challenge, you will get there, man. Because I swear, bro, I was you know, and yeah, you know, you just got to get your body in line with your mind, and you know, once that alignment starts, bro, you know, everything starts gaining momentum.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, bro, you got this.
Yeah, for the depression, as soon as you start doing stuff, you start to develop the will to get more, and that's the way I get out of it. So by starting something, by starting doing stuff, that's how you get rid of that.
Yes.
Yep.
Can I ask a question though?
Yes, please.
Okay. Like I said, I've been battling depression for a while. I'm currently 25, and just earlier this year, I did a reflection to know when I actually started going into depression. It started when I was around age 10. That was around 2007. And right now, I've been working on improving myself. But one thing I notice is if I get to a point where I feel like I'm getting out of the depression, I feel like I have this feeling like something is missing. I'm so used to it that I'm attached to it. If it's going, I just feel like a part of me is leaving, and I tend to look for things to take me back to that state, and I don't really know how to get myself out of that. Excuse me, I have cough.
Sorry, I interrupted.
No. Go ahead. Yeah, please.
That can be how can I say that? That can push you forward. That feeling, I'm not worth enough. I don't have what I want because I'm not worth enough. Is you can take it. I'm less than what I want to be. So there is two options by that. Either you let yourself go, that's the depression, or you work on yourself in order to not be that anymore. And by doing that, the same thing that pull you down can push you up. I don't know if I'm clear enough.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I get your point though, but it's more like it really doesn't affect any part of my life at this point anymore. Like it doesn't affect my thinking. I'm not suicidal. I used to be, but I'm not anymore. I just see it as a part of living right now, and if I don't have it, it feels like something is just missing. I don't know if that's okay or if there's a way to get that part out.
I think I understand what he's saying too. It's
I understand.
Yeah, he feels empty when he's not
you
depressed.
have gotten so used to your depression that the idea even of the depression leaving it creates fear in you because you're so familiar with it. Yes. So yeah, I can relate to that. So I would suggest that whenever you have a feeling that of fear that creeps in you, that the depression might leave you, just breathe in and think, what have you done to come at this point of the hardships, of the hard work that you have done till now, and just think that it's another part of life. Some things you have to leave and some things you have to grasp. So yeah, just be brave, be strong. I know it takes some while, and it takes quite some courage to leave something so familiar behind, but it is a part of life. You have to leave some precious thing behind. Maybe the depression is somewhat dear to you because you can relate, you have your memories, but you need to forget them, you need to let them pass. So that is my advice.
And Dale, bro, you need to. I know we all have accountability partners here, but there's so many guys in the group that we relate to, and that's been a big support for me, man. And after this, add me. But yeah, you need somebody to talk to, bro. Just like I want to tell you, like, just during this challenge, go back to your writings and look at everything you've accomplished, and just meditate on it, analyze all the successes you've had over the past 6 months, and think to yourself, how does the image I have of myself in my head compare with everything I've accomplished these last 6 months, right? And if there's a problem there, that's a problem inside of yourself that you need to fix. Because I know, like I told you, me and you, we're like kindred spirits. And I have that same thing where I'm not good enough. And what that is for me, that's like a motivating force. It's like, oh, you're not good enough, or, that's not enough. You have to keep pushing. In the gym, that's good. But, once you get to a certain level of weight, that kind of energy is not optimal. It's not good for you. It'll only get you, that kind of motivation will only get you off the couch. It won't get you breaking records. And I mean, right now, bro, you just got to get off the couch, and that's fine. And we got to disassemble this bad way of thinking and, reprogram you, bro, because that's where I'm at right now. And it's working out really well, and it's not easy, but it's definitely doable, man.
Yeah, it's good to.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it's good to form. First, you're self-aware and you understand that when you do feel this fear and the depression is gone, and you kind of fall into the thinking of, I miss who I was. Or not even miss who I was, but I'm no longer familiar to myself because I'm so used to being depressed for most of my life. It just feels foreign, like I'm not myself. You have to, you have to remind yourself, because I've been depressed as well, and it sucks the joy out of life. It turns the world gray. There's no more color in anything, right? Almost everything feels hopeless, useless. Why try? You're just kind of floating through life forward, not having any direction or lust for living. But you have to understand that when you undertake, challenges like this, the change happens. This is the most painful part of everything, because you're mentally acclimated to who you used to be, the self-image of who you think you are versus who you're becoming. That distinction there is causing your fear, because you're leaving behind the man you've been wanting to leave behind, and now you've actually physically started the change, and that's causing a form of anxiety. You can refer to it as fear, but now you're anxious because, well, I'm no longer dependent on or behaving in the way I used to with my depressed self, and this is all I've known most of my life. So who am I now? You're creating a new narrative of who the new man, the new Deo is. And that's very hard because, again, that was your whole life. You know no other Deo, right? And then this anxiety, the separation from your old self. But you don't look at it as a negative. That's the most important thing. You're doing all this hard stuff now to become better, to be a better version of yourself, happier, to finally enjoy life, to no longer be, cautious, scared, afraid, have confidence issues. On a deep level, the things you wanted to change about yourself that you didn't want to be a part of anymore. And understand that all those things are also your depression. Your depression is something you no longer want on a deep level to be a part of anymore. So when the feeling comes like, oh man, am I doing the right thing? I kind of miss who I used to be. That's all I know. Your mentality is still that 10-year-old boy going through the depression, right? You have to switch and go, no, that's no longer the man I am. I'm somebody different. I'm better in every single way today. And I have to change my thinking. When you start feeling the fear, repeat to yourself, create some sort of mantra, some sort of a combination of words, a phrase that you can repeat to yourself when the fear creeps in, that you can say, a form of reprogramming. I'm no longer that man. I'm something greater, right? To convince yourself, this is a psychological battle that you have to convince yourself of, right? That you're becoming something more than what you used to be, because that's the correct path in life. That's why you're taking on the challenge. And it's easier said than done. Like I said, this isn't something you're going to figure out, day 15 in the challenge, day 20, 30, whatever, 60, 100. This is something that you will have an aha moment one day. One day you'll arrive and understand, like, wow, I've been doing this for I don't know how many months now. And that fear will slowly subside as you keep improving more and more. You become more confident in yourself. And then again, it just slowly goes away. Don't worry about having the fear now. You're, like I said, barely day 15. Just be aware that it creeps into your mind, and always face it head on. Don't run away. Don't bury it. That's why we say to meditate and journal, because when that fear creeps in, attack it right then and there and convince yourself, I'm not this man anymore, and that's not a part of me. It never was. It never needed to be. And I've cast it aside to become something greater, the man I dream of being. And that's one of the hardest things. Yes.
The meditation and journaling has really helped me. Whenever I get something creeping up, whether it's sad emotion or anger about the experience I had, now I just whip out the journal and start writing like a madman. And by the end of getting my feelings out on the piece of paper, I feel a lot better. And then I try to get into more of a meditative state, and it really helps. I mean, look into Wim Hof. That's been helping me a lot. The breathing techniques and the cold showers, and like he has a 10-week course that's really freaking good.
Yeah, I've started that too.
Okay.
It's amazing. It's pretty insane.
Yeah.
All right, I'll check it out.
Yes, one of the things, sorry to cut in, but the cold shower thing, one of the best recommendations I have, and this I forgot to even mention, is that helped me with the depression, was taking cold plunges, cold showers and ice baths. There's something, I know there's a ton of benefits for cold water, immersion, etc. You can read all the physical benefits, but rarely do people talk about the mental benefits. And something happens to your body when you're exposed to extremely cold, icy water. The amount of discomfort you feel essentially shocks your brain. You get overloaded. It silences all the thoughts in your mind. And the only thing that screams back at you in your head is, get out. It's too cold. This hurts. We're going to die. Right? Your body switches into survival mode instantly the moment you submerge yourself in cold water. Now, what people learn to do as this gets easier and easier, more acclimated to it, where you can begin to actually have thoughts instead of your brain screaming, get out, get out, get out. And so you can get into a meditative state in a span of seconds the moment you jump in there. And if you can last 3 to 5 minutes, you can get into this deep part of your brain that you've never had access to, because it takes a certain amount of suffering to open your brain up, to open some deep doors into your brain. And for me, if I had too much going on in the day, or I started having these negative emotions, a self-confidence issue, I didn't believe in myself, or something happened externally, work, girlfriend, whatever it is, if I got in my cold plunge tub and I stayed in there for 3 to 5 minutes and I got over the initial shock of like my body screaming at me, my mind screaming at me to get out, I could finally start formulating some thoughts and start thinking about things. And that has some sort of therapeutic effect, because it builds up a callus in your brain to be able to survive and deal with stress, mental stress, whether that comes in the form of like fear, self-confidence, anger issues, whatever you want. But if you can get in there and make that a normal part of your day, I guarantee you the therapeutic effect is, it cannot be overstated. It unlocks some sort of mechanism that allows you to deal with your issues through the day, and it makes you super resilient to stressful events. Like, I like to use the road rage one, is the easiest one everybody understands. Like when you're driving, somebody cuts you off. For some reason, that annoys you so much that you'll honk the horn, yell, and it can, for people that don't know how to deal with themselves, can ruin their day. It can start a cascade of negative emotions, right? Some asshole cuts me off in traffic. Now I have a bad day at work. Now I bring my bad work day home to my wife or girlfriend or whatever, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You don't eat right. It starts to spiral. Mm-hmm. So, but if you do these cold showers, it allows you a sort of shield, because it puts into perspective what really matters. You've shocked your body into feeling like it's dying, right? The cold is something we hate on a fundamental, like animalistic level. Being cold and wet is dangerous, right? So if you get in there voluntarily, feel cold and wet to the point where your body's screaming, get out, you're going numb, right? You feel very weird. Your mind is like zoned in on survival. Then you understand, it helps you understand that life, everything going on around you, isn't as big as a deal as you make it out to be. Getting cut in traffic doesn't matter. That phone call from the boss, whatever, it's not that important. There's more important things here. It helps shift your perspective and helps you prioritize the problems you have in your life. I think, and I that's why I do them all the time. I think cold showers for mental health is going to become big. And a lot of people have no idea about them. They think it's just fun. These crazy people are getting in cold water for no reason, and they'll spout out, physical benefit 1, 2, 3 here. It helps this, that. But mentally, to keep ourselves sane, we have to manufacture hardship in our lives, because we're all living in one way or another too comfortable. We have too many dopamine hits in our lives, from your phone, ringing, or that notification. That's a dopamine hit. Down to the food you eat, all the bad food that we put in our mouth, dopamine hit, everything. Our lives are created to be comfortable, and that dulls your brain. And that's where a lot of the depression comes in for a lot of people, because you live a dull, comfortable life, and we're built to work. And there's nothing like cold water. It's like the shortcut, because it takes a lot to learn how to meditate properly, working out properly. All this stuff takes a while, but one shortcut that everybody can do, that your body naturally knows how to deal with, is cold. So by getting into cold water, it's a quick shortcut in learning on how to deal with yourself and your brain. Self-control. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, where do you do your cold plunges at? Do you do them at home in your own bath, or are there places you can go?
Yeah, so I built myself one. It was very cheap. I found a freezer for like $200-300 that was big enough that I could fit in, and then you just seal it on the inside and fill it up with water, and then it turns into a cold bath. But I've gone to places that are cryotherapy, and they'll have cold baths. They'll have these little rooms you step into that shoot gas that's like minus 200 degrees, whatever, that gets you chilled for 2 to 3 minutes. But nothing compares to cold water. If you have in your location somewhere mountainous, something cold in the winter time, or just go to a place that offers cold water services, cryotherapy, etc. There's gyms with ice baths. If you can find that, I recommend trying it. The That feeling is, there's nothing else like it, man. It's crazy. And the best way to combine that with would be a sauna that a lot of my friends love to do that are in the MMA community. They like to go between hot and cold, like 5 minutes cold, 20 minutes hot. And that has its own benefits. And obviously it's like two extremes combined into literally 1 hour where you just go back and forth between extremely cold and extremely hot, which does quite a bit. It's all, like I said, besides the physical benefits, there's a mental benefit there that I highly employ everybody to try at least once in your life to see. It's kind of it's a shock. It's a shock to the system.
I think I'll start it. I'll add that into mine.
Yes, it's amazing.
Cold showers mixed with the Wim Hof breathing. I get in there. Like at first, the first time I did it, I was like, "Oh my fucking God, what the fuck am I doing?" But then when I started doing the Wim Hof and started breathing when I go in there, now I just turn my shower to the coldest setting at the end, and I can just sit there and do a couple breathing exercises and stay in there for 2-3 minutes now.
Right. Hey Kirby, are you there?
With because when I tried cold showers, I always felt like I was losing breath or not being able to breathe, and then I just go out. So does that Wim Hof thing help?
Yes, it does. It teaches you how to breathe properly before getting in the water, and it helps you with maintaining your breath while you're getting cold. It's a little technique that could help you, but again, it's an acclimation thing. In the very beginning, it'll be hard to breathe. You literally gasp for air once and then hold your breath because the shock is so strong. It gets easier and easier the more you do. You do become acclimated, but it's a normal reaction for you to not be able to breathe or struggle breathing. It's quite the feeling. But I wanted to talk to Kirby. How you doing, Kirby?
Hello.
I know you've been on your own journey for months now, watching the channel, but I just wanted you to share with everybody else kind of how you've been going through yours and the weight you lost, everything.
Sure. Well, first of all, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, for a big part of my life, most of my 20s, I have been very, I guess, emotional. And because of that, I've always been an emotional eater. And I tend to teeter on opposite extremes. And just like a lot of us in here, I've been an avid gamer, did a lot of competitive stuff, Counter-Strike, etc. But I've always tried a bunch of different things in regards of weight loss, but I've always kind of rebounded back. So I did a lot of different yo-yo things. But I think one of the hardest things for me in my journey was maintaining balance. Because even when it comes to work, I've always done opposite extremes. That has always felt like it was who I was. I would work really, really, I have a very obsessive nature, I'll call it that. And so because of that, it really took a while for me to follow a certain routine that worked best for me. I've tried eating 5-6 meals a day. That didn't work. I've tried, I've fasted for 40 days, just liquid. That was an experience in itself.
Wow.
But yeah, I've been doing my weight loss journey since August of 2021. I've been inspired by Bo and all the videos that you've put out. It has made me really kind of take a look at myself in the mirror and say, where do I want to go? Because I know once I hit this point, I end up becoming complacent. And that is where I end up spiraling backwards or yo-yoing backwards, if you would.
Gotcha.
And I feel like I've slowly developed a mentality of turning life into a game. And I think that's kind of where my direction first started heading. I've, I guess, gotten really into the whole red pill community, and I've ended up having my own mindsets about that. But yeah, I guess many years ago in my 20s, there was this girl that I really liked. And I mean, I was oddly obsessed with her, and I basically waited on her hand and foot. We ended up kind of breaking things apart because I decided I needed to focus on myself. And yeah.
So you got red pilled by a girl.
Basically,
we all do most of the time.
I don't wish her any ill will. I just knew in the very beginning, I told her, listen, if I don't have my finances in order, I will not propose to you. You know, you're gorgeous and blah, blah, blah. But over time, as I was with her, I've been with her, 5 years? And I wasn't able to make ends meet. I was financially struggling. And over that time, it was like I was her chauffeur, and she would essentially volunteer me for a bunch of things that I didn't want to do. And it really, the emasculation got to a point where I just couldn't take it anymore, because it was kind of like pulling at opposites. I was trying to, appease her by spending more time with her and her family. And I think I was more in love with her family unit, the fact that she had that. And I think that's why I stayed as long as I did.
Gotcha. And then the breakup spurred everything.
I think, yeah. Well, I broke up with her because I just felt like I couldn't get any work done. I couldn't focus on myself. I couldn't get myself financially sound unless I truly, fully focused on myself.
Gotcha. So in essence, you lost your identity in her, in the relationship.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. That's absolutely a common problem men tend to have, is as the longer a relationship goes, you start to lift her up on the pedestal because you do fall in love. You start to treat her as an equal. And through that love and treating her as an equal, or elevating her above you because you want to protect and provision, right? You want the best for her. Naturally, you're going to elevate her, which is usually the wrong thing to do, because she's with you in the first place because you are better than her. So, it's a common problem. But I wanted to ask you about the weight loss, man. I know you've had a tremendous weight loss over the past few months. So,
I became a software engineer, and with that came the I wouldn't say luxury, but I guess the benefit of working from home because of the whole COVID thing the past few years. And so because of that, I've gotten really complacent. It was one of the first times where I felt like financially I was becoming more and more secure. And so because of that, I let myself go. I would order food constantly, and I didn't know how to kind of reel that in. I was just enjoying food, and with coding and everything, it was a struggle because you pour all of yourself into the code. You're trying to figure things out, and you just let your body go physically. And I sit on my rear, day in and day out. It's just, part of the job. And so it got to the point where every single day I was waking up and my mouth was absolutely dry. And it got to the point where I was waking up and I felt like I could die or choke to death at any moment in the middle of the night.
Oh, wow.
So because of that, I was like, if I don't make a physical change, this is life or death. And
I'm sorry, was it you were so heavy that you were choking?
Yeah, I was like 270 plus.
Oh.
And so, yeah. And every day, and it didn't help that I had deviated septum either. And so I was 100% like mouth breathing, and it was just something that happened. And over time, I was like, if I don't do something drastic and stick to it as a lifestyle, I'm going to die. And the picture that I actually put up, that was on my birthday. And during that birthday, I was like, I'm 30 that last year. I'm going to be 31 this year. But last year I was like, I'm 30. And if I continue, I'm not going to last the next 5 years. And so as good as the finances are, if my life is forfeit, then what's the point?
Right.
And I had to make a mental decision. I said, let me do something and let me stick to it. And I had to kind of gauge myself and figure out what it is that I can maintain. I wasn't a fan of eating multiple times a day. I know that's always been suggested as like ideal, but for me, I just felt like I was a squirrel just nibbling throughout the day. And I'm like, I don't want to feel like a squirrel. I like to have big hearty meals. And so I guess personality wise, I still teeter at opposite extremes. So throughout the day, I would drink water, black coffee or tea. And then come either lunchtime or dinner time, I would just have one hearty meal. And throughout from then till now, I've done one meal a day. I eat vegetables, meat, fruits. I find that my body doesn't process carbs all that well, so I kind of avoid as much of it as possible. And I also have, in January of 2021, for the entire month, 40 days actually, from January 1st till 40 days after, I did a fully 100% liquid fast. It was more of a church thing than a weight loss thing. So it was kind of like a mixture.
Gotcha. And then how many pounds are you down right now?
I am down 65 pounds.
Incredible. And then how many more do you have to go to your goal weight?
So right now I'm at 205, 206, give or take. And my goal is 180 because I am 5'8" and I feel like 180 pounds should be the kind of the good weight to be.
Amazing.
Because I definitely know. I know my love handles still got love handles. So.
How do you feel right now at 205 compared to 270?
Well, it's really funny because when I was at 270, I couldn't move all that well. Even getting up was a struggle. And I remember I had bought weights, but never used them. And I decided that I wanted to motivate, but also feel the difference between what 205 and 270 is.
Hey, Savvy D, thank you so much for the $10. How's everybody doing in the chat? We have roughly 20 minutes left of this, and then we'll be doing Q&A. And Savvy wrote, thanks, Bo, for all you do. You have invigorated the men who want to grow and stop falling for the defeat that men are expected to take. Thank you so much, Savvy. Really do appreciate it.
So what I ended up doing was I had a 70-pound weighted vest. I took all the weights out, and I started doing my dips, I had a dip bar. And so every single time I built a habit of working out on the dip bar. And anytime I lost 10 pounds, I would add the 10 pounds onto the vest and wear it.
Wow.
And so every single time I put the vest on, even though it's 70 pounds heavier, it reminds me of where I used to be. And after I work out with my vest, I take it off. And it reminds me of who I am now.
Wow, that's an amazing psychological trick. Wow.
Yeah,
Freedom genius.
Yeah, it's really, because the moment you're done working out and you take the vest off and you feel the weight off your chest, literally, it's like, I can't go back there. Wow.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a pain on the shoulders, but
yeah, man, that's like a powerful motivator and reminder of the difference, because that's part of the issue with working out. Also, the gains or the losses are so slow, so minute, you can't see them day to day, until months have passed, and then you start barely noticing a change here, a crease there, right? But until you put on something like a weight vest to feel even something small like 10 pounds, it's to feel the difference is incredible. And it's like such a strong psychological marker too. I can't believe it. That's ingenious.
Thank you.
Nice, man. Well, congratulations, dude. It's kind of mind blowing, when you hear these stories of. Hey, Tony, thank you so much for the $10. Thank you for what you do. Much love. Appreciate it. I want you to know or I want to know where I can find the routine that you talk about. I most likely have it posted in the Discord. If you haven't joined it already, please do. I'm sure somebody may be able to point you to it. I did do like kind of an in-depth kind of a like a pinned comment with all the things that you're expected to do, and everybody posting what they would recommend as well, etc., etc. I'm sure the information's somewhere on Discord. Ask around. But thank you so much for the $10. We're almost done, guys. Let's continue. What causes people to change, and through just small changes in what habit and thinking, the insane effects it can have compounded over time. I mean, I'm sure when you started at 270, you had no idea where you would end up or how you would even get there. You just had a general outline. Not. Yeah, like, I guess I'm just going to start doing this and we'll see what happens. And then you get on a roll. It's like a snowball effect. Now you see the change beginning, which reinforces the change in you. And it's just faster and faster and faster.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, it's incredible. And I've noticed quite a few guys are, they're very early on in their journey, but again, you can see like a micro version of that happening where they say, well, I'm on day 10, I'm on day 15, and it's already feeling easier. Like Deo shared, I'm noticing a change in myself already. And this is just 2 weeks, man. And it's like, just somehow if you can create a psychological marker to remind yourself, kind of how you do with your weights, that this is how far I've come along, to know where you've been. Remind yourself, hey, it's all worth it, man. The struggle that I'm going through, the strive, getting up early, working out, eating right, counting my calories, writing in my journal, meditating every day, it's all worth it. Because in the end,
absolutely,
what do you have to fall back on? The very person you're trying to get away from, the old you're trying to kill off and escape. You don't want to be who you used to be. So what's your alternative, right? Go back to being the man you hated being, and like living in the mediocrity that was boring you in life and making you feel horrible? Or do you just kind of grit your teeth and go through the struggle in the morning of just doing all those things I said before? What is worse? And just ask yourself that. And that's kind of the conversations I tend to have with myself. That's like my psychological trigger to myself is like, okay, I don't want to get out of bed at 5 a.m. and go running. Why am I the only one out here running? There's barely any cars on the road. People are barely waking up. Why am I doing this? And then I just constantly have to remind myself, well, if I don't do this, I'll end up being the man I hated being before. And what's worse to me in my own head is like, I'm either going to be miserable now running these few miles in the morning, or I go back to being miserable my entire life throughout the entire day because I hated who I was. And to me, that's an easy choice to make. So that's why I choose to wake up every morning and do what I do, because the alternative is a nightmare. And I know everybody in here feels that in some form or another.
Also, the brain wants comfort. So when you're trying to avoid comfort and do the hard stuff, it's there where you're going to see the most results and feel better about yourself later on.
Yes. Martino, have you been in doing the challenge?
Me?
Martino.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, man, tell us.
I'm on day 13.
Oh, share, please, man. How'd you, what would you think when you saw the video, and what prompted you to get started too? Like, what was going on in your life?
I was on self-improvement already as like, don't know if you know the YouTuber Hamza.
I've heard of him, yes.
Also like content, more redpill, very self-improvement oriented. And I kind of like, I don't know how I got to that, but then from there, I also got videos from you recommended. And then the Spartan challenge just fit right and was like, yeah, I mean, I'm already doing half the stuff that is listed. Might as well just turn it up a notch. And so I wrote down like, what am I putting in extra? I wrote it down on paper, wrote down the date, started ticking off what I managed, what I failed. And yeah, it's been a godsend. Like just the entire process of working on myself. Used to be very skinny, little self-confidence, small friend group, because I didn't really have social skills or like the spine to really talk to people or be very extroverted, whatever. And adding to the story of the weight fest, adding weight to it. I did the same thing with dumbbells. I got my hands on a set of adjustable dumbbells, and I had to start with like 5 kilograms for bicep curls or something. And every week or two, I could like add another plate or swap out a plate for a heavier one. And I saw progress, and the progress motivates you, and you keep pushing, and yeah,
amazing.
It's awesome.
How do you feel when you log on and just see everybody's progress happening? Like, have you run into those harder days where you failed? And then how did you deal with those? How did you feel seeing everybody else?
Failing, yes. I mean, naturally. What I will say is, like, you know how they say when you're like the average of the, let's say, 5 people you interact with, or like the
yes
top 5 types of content you consume? Well, I see this Discord as like one of those 5 things, and that really like ups the value of my overall top 5, if you know what I mean.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm checking regularly. I might not always like type anything or speak all that much, but I'm checking up regularly.
That's awesome. Anybody else have anything else to add about their journey? Little pointers that they found that helps them keep going, especially when some sort of stress hits you.
If I can kind of suggest, keeping a log definitely helps, especially with weight loss. I personally do it once a week because you do get to see the changes instead of logging it daily. And it's a sense of a visual achievement. I know earlier we were talking about the whole porn and gaming, but that visual sense of achievement gives us more motivation to continue, especially when you hit the 2-week, 4-week, 6-week, and 8-week mark, when the numbers start adding up. So logging is definitely important.
Yes, I totally agree with that. I use mine visually as well, in the sense of I log daily just to like micro track everything, because I'm like neurotic that way. So I'll use MyFitnessPal, but they'll have a graph on there that logs the difference every single day, and I'm watching it either go up or down, whatever my goal is. If I want to lose weight, I'm watching it slowly go down, like 0.4 pounds here, 0.3 pounds there. And then I'm watching over the month how the graph is constantly going down towards the goal weight line. And that's like motivating me. I see days where, and they're plotted on the graph, where I screwed up, overate, or did something, and my weight remains flat or slightly went up. And I can visually see the progress that got eaten away from me screwing up. And then the other days where I stayed peak performance, did everything I was supposed to do, and it's going in the direction it should go. And that is extremely motivating. Like you said, for some people that don't want the numbers, or I have friends that don't want to see numbers at all, period, until like a month in, right? They're just like, I don't care what happens a week, 2 week in. I'm sticking to it, and I want to see the progress, bigger picture, because the numbers do get bigger and bigger. And then you just track your stuff every 2 weeks, every month. And yeah, man, the changes that you see just reinforces the habits that you're building. And it's super important to just do little things like that reinforce your habits. Like you do with the weight vest, tracking that if you're a visual person, looking at the graphs, whatever, from apps, anything you can do. And then another thing that I've been using personally is rewarding yourself. It's like how to create a habit. It's rewarding yourself with something good that you enjoy also. So for example, if you do enjoy, say, browsing YouTube and watching a video from whoever or whatever it is, manga, anime, whatever. Say you just finished meal prepping for a week ahead. That's something you may hate doing. But if you combined meal prepping with reading a comic book while you're cooking your food, you're reinforcing a very positive experience of what you love to do, the dopamine hit of, reading a comic book, with the thing you hate to do in the moment, which is cooking your food for 3 days ahead, a week ahead, whatever. So then you're kind of giving yourself a carrot, a little bit of a relief, right? It's like brain candy that, okay, you start training yourself. If I cook my food every week, so I don't have to worry about it and give myself an out on why I should go eat something like fast food, I get to read my comic book, right? Or I get to listen to this, whatever. Whatever it is, that's your brain candy that you cope with, the little pleasures. Make sure they don't get into like in the way of your overarching goals. But if you can reward yourself with little brain candy like this while you do the things you hate, you can solidify that as a habit. And then eventually you won't need the brain candy anymore. That habit solidifies and you actually feel weird when you don't do it. But for people that are looking to form habits, try to combine them with the little things you do love to make it pleasurable and trick your brain into thinking like, okay, cooking my food is a pleasurable act. I actually enjoy doing this because it allows me to read a manga, whatever it is, right? So you can take the things you're trying to get rid of and use them in a powerful way to help build healthier habits and then eventually wean yourself off of those. So that's a tip for everybody. And then, all right. Well, we're already an hour, 15 minutes in, boys. And if anybody has some closing thoughts on the Spartan Challenge or anything else, and we could wrap this one up and do another one probably in a week or so.
I would just have a question.
Yes.
More or less related to the last subject. Is how do you use a journal? I don't know what to write in that.
Oh, so yes. So that's a question. Yeah, the journaling process itself, there's very like scientific ways to frame how to journal properly for, you know, like behavioral therapy or modification or building habits. I would recommend you, if one of the mods could send you the Fabulous app, or sorry, it's called Thought Diary. Sorry. I'll have to relink it. There's an application called Thought Diary that you download on your phone. And then what it does is it kind of writes the journal for you. It'll teach you how to start. It'll write out like the first sentence, and then it'll guide you through. It's like a guided journaling. It says, okay, if I feel this way, you know, it'll ask you to pick negative emotions. If you're feeling sad, anxious, nervous, whatever, angry, whatever negative emotions, you select them all, and then the journal will begin with, I'm feeling this way because, and then you write that out. And then the journal will have you select other options like psychological profiles, like, am I catastrophizing, et cetera, right? It's asking you, like, are you making the problem worse than it really is? Are you looking into the future? Are you thinking about the past, right? And you select all those that kind of apply to your line of thinking. And then the journal will guide you further. Now it says, how can I change my thinking into something positive? So, and then it'll guide you. It'll say, well, this is happening to me, but the facts say, right? And then it has you write that out. And essentially it's teaching you how to do an effective, like scientific based guided journaling to behavior modify, which is extremely powerful. You only need to use it for, you know, whatever it is, enough time until you start to get the hang of how to make your journal outlines. And then that's how you'll deal with, you know, negative emotions that come out throughout the day. You just whip out your journal if you have it with you, if you're home, and then you start to do the process that you've been taught. And then it gets, you know, from there on easier. And then there's the free journaling that people like to do where, so you have too many thoughts in your head. It's not really negative or positive, but there's too many things going on that you're thinking about. People like to free journal, where as you're thinking something, you just start writing it. And then essentially your thoughts will start to dwindle into something more cohesive. I'm sure everybody has some sort of method that they're using. I've seen guys post a bunch of different things when it comes to journaling too, if anybody in here knows or wants to share. But if not,
the one Bo's talking about is called CBT Thought Diary. It's really good. I started using it, and it uses cognitive behavioral therapy, which is a good method for anybody dealing with depression, anxiety. They use it in clinic, not the app, but they just use CBT in clinical settings. So it's something really good to prompt emotions out of you might not even know are there.
All right. Anybody else have anything else they'd like to add? Closing statements on anything at all? No, I think we're good.
I just say thanks for putting this together. It's too easy to fall into the black pill mentality nowadays and just think everything's hopeless. So it's good to have a community of people who are all trying to improve together.
Well, thank you so much, man. I'm glad you guys are all here. I didn't expect it to grow this fast, this quickly. I was just putting up that video, you know, worst case scenario, I'd do this by myself and maybe inspire somebody else to silently do it. themselves after they watch it, and then, hey, just a random shot in the air of, hey, let's create the Discord and see how many people want to join and try to hold each other accountable. And it's been incredible. I mean, every single day we're gaining like 100 members or more. And that's just off that one video alone. Once we start doing check-ins with everybody, I start making more videos about it. We grow tremendously. And it's all about changing other men that, again, it's like falling in that mentality where they feel like everything's hopeless. You know, the way society views men, and we lost our place in the world, and people are dealing with issues in masculinity and what it means to be a man. I'm just grateful that we're creating something that can have a lasting effect on individuals we've never even met. You know, they just, because this is going to go up. I'm going to put these up on Spotify, on wherever. There's going to be other real men listening in to everybody's problems. Everybody that shares here today, like, you have no idea how far your voice will carry to somebody just listening in, man, wishing to make a change themselves. It's extremely powerful. It'll be extremely motivating, because if we're being honest and we go on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, all you're going to see is high value male this, you know, these people that are unreachable, living like unrealistic lives that we can't even relate to. And that's the truth. Like, these aren't relatable people. But when you have a group of men, real men, every day doing everyday things, going through everyday problems, it helps those that are listening, that are thinking, oh, well, I can't relate to this superstar, whatever athlete, or this millionaire, that's not my life. And he's completely detached from the reality I'm living. But here we finally have a core of men, that are dealing with the very issue that every other man seems to be dealing with. And I'm excited, man, for the future going forward. I do thank everybody for being here, because, wow, this is going to open doorways for men in the future that we can't even see today. I mean, we're just guessing. But I'm so happy for everybody here going through this process, sharing all their issues, their progress, you know, everything affecting an everyday normal man in society today. So thank you, everybody, for joining. And thank you, everybody who's listening. And closing statement, I guess, is, closing statement I would say is, like, please hang out with each other, hold each other accountable too in the Discord. We'll be holding these gatherings quite often to check in with each other and just build a lot more cohesion and connection within the community. So, you know, a perfect example was Dio and Cortez, like, you know, they'll be keeping in touch with each other, but just opening up. I know it's very weird. It's very awkward in the beginning. We don't know each other, but through community events like this, I hope we do, you know, come closer together and maybe one day meet in person. You know, that's the ultimate goal. We grow to such a size that you can go and meet each other locally. We'll have enough members where we can make social groups in person, hold each other accountable, just elevate in life, man, because there's so much more to life. And a lot of men here have tools that a lot of us don't know of that could help one another. You know, there's a lot of brains coming together, and we can make a difference that way. So thank you so much, everybody. Okay. For those that are new and tuning in, thank you for joining. How's everybody doing today? That was our first Discord community event, and we are actually going to host our second one about 45 minutes from now. I'll take some Q&A, hang out with the chat. Thank you so much for joining. I'm super excited to get the second one going, guys. 45 minutes. If you haven't joined the Discord, hey Ferris, how are you doing? Sound good now? How's the shoulder doing? Someone link the Discord if you can. Okay. My voice coming through good? Might have to turn up the volume. Shoulder's doing better. I've actually been doing some very specific shoulder exercises and stretches every day. I think I tore something, I don't know, years ago in the rotator cuff, and certain exercises start to inflame it, but I've been purposely doing stretches that kind of target that exact area, and I try to hold them statically there. It's super painful, but I've noticed every single day, if I just keep doing it over and over again, the pain sort of lessens, and I do increase mobility just a teeny bit more. So I think eventually it should go away completely. The last thing I want to do is go under the knife and take some sort of surgery option. I don't even think that's the right move, even though it was recommended to me by a doctor who saw me. You got a link to the video. I got a same problem. Actually, if you go on Instagram, there's a guy named Knees Over Toes. If you can search that, or if anybody else knows who that is and they can link it, he does also do shoulder mobility exercises. He's known for knee workouts. That's his main thing. His name is Knees Over Toes guy. But he has branched into shoulder exercises for mobility and recovery. And you know, the thing doctors tell you, which is, I guess, common knowledge in the West, is once you do get like a tear or an injury in a joint or something like that, you're told to stay off of it, to wait, I don't know how many weeks, etc. But that's not really what you're supposed to do. At least I personally don't believe so. I feel like you get a lot of atrophy if you stay off on an injury. You should probably do something akin to like rehab, where, you know, like how professional athletes, when they get injured, they go through a program of slowly using that muscle group or wherever the injury has occurred and building up strength back. Sports therapy, that kind of thing. I feel like the body, when it's forced to use maybe something that you would consider injured, it will feed like important nutrients and begin the repair process, because there's a need you're creating to use that joint. Instead of staying off of it, then there's no need. And then the atrophy begins. Yeah, so whoever mentioned David Goggins' book, absolutely amazing. I recommend his Audible. That was a life-changing listen to me. If you do go on and get the Audible version of Can't Hurt Me, he's actually there speaking with a reader. It's really amazing. You kind of get some inside information into the chapters, and they go a little bit deeper. It's almost like a podcast where the person reading it and then he chimes in after certain chapters or whatever. It's absolutely incredible. The Audible's amazing. Highly recommended. For everybody that's doing the challenge, I think that's a must read, and that's probably one you should start with. Can't Hurt Me. It just completely dissolves the notion of motivation and like woe is me mentality. You don't know what I've been through, etc., etc. Because that guy had it probably the worst among everybody. And he started off from such a low point and was able to transform himself all through, seriously, just like mental fortitude. Bearded Energy. Just started the Spartan challenge. I gave up cigarettes a week ago. It's been very tough, one step at a time. Yeah, man, nicotine is a hell of an addiction. I got a crazy story. My father, he was a smoker for decades, heavy smoker too. It's typical Eastern European. And he actually quit cold turkey from fear. He went and he coughed and then he spit out what he said was like a black dot in his phlegm. And it scared the crap out of him. He thought he was going to get cancer and die. So who knows what that was, but it was something unusual he spotted that wasn't normal. And he quit quite literally cold turkey. A cigarette has not touched his mouth ever since that day. I mean, talk about like willpower. That's insane. So I can't imagine what it's like to go through the withdrawals after smoking nicotine for like 20, 30 years. Heavy smoking too. And just like that, deciding I'm done. When you hear the stories of how hellacious it is for people to quit, it's wild. A ton of respect. All right, one more question. Somebody ask whatever you would like, and then I'm going to start prepping the Discord room for the community event, guys. So go ahead and log on or sign up if you haven't already. Almost every video has the Discord link. I don't have it copied here just yet. Let me go look for it. See you later, Plort. No problem, dude. I'll have it recorded as well, and we'll probably stream that one. Well, we will stream that one just for people on YouTube to have a copy to look back on. Definitely. Also, if you can't get on YouTube or Discord, whatever, I do upload these to Spotify as well if you just like to listen. Don't need to necessarily watch. Hit a gym session, hear about everybody struggling all the same. How can I get more involved? Nick, if you can join the Discord, I'm there often and always hanging out with the community. We're doing events, probably some more things coming down the line. We're having some kind of cool ideas for competitions, different styled events, and the winners of those do episodes together, etc. So quite a bit of ideas in the background, things we're building up. We already have over 2,000 members on Discord, and we're just getting started, man. Every day we grow by 100 or so, and more people are getting into the Spartan challenge. I mean, this is kind of quietly going on in the background. A lot of people don't know about this, but the moment people start to finish their Spartan challenges and people start to see all the crazy transformations and all the insane progress people have made, that's when it's probably going to start popping off a lot, because there's nothing more motivating than watching real everyday men getting after it and making a huge change in their lives. It all starts up here in your brain. It's like I said in the previous episode, it's just a lot of people they're not relatable, man. Nobody cares about some it's cool to look at some world champion telling you that you need to do this and that. And, all these famous people or multimillionaires telling you their lifestyle, whatever, but you can't relate. You don't live the same life. You haven't been through the same things. It's like, oh yeah, this guy here is like a professional athlete. He's a complete stud, etc., etc. Can't compare to a normal guy like me. I want to see somebody normal, just like me, going through it and making a difference. Frank Paul, thank you so much for the $10 donation. I started this challenge, but in a personal way. I've dealt with adult content all my life, and I'm now taking this opportunity to completely stop. It's been 2 weeks. I'm 23 and a virgin, by the way. Dude, 2 weeks? That's incredible, Frank. Keep going. Don't stop. Thank you so much for the 10. If you have been on our Discord and you see the semen retention section and the nofap, porn addiction is a huge struggle and a problem for everybody. It's actually one of the biggest problems in the challenge for people is not fondling themselves. We've become so addicted to playing with ourselves and soothing ourselves with masturbation that we don't know what it's like without it. And using some more, like a more positive approach to stress, to anything in life, right? Redirecting all your sexual energy you're otherwise wasting on like jacking off and doing nothing and sedating yourself all day, messing with your hormones, etc. Right? We're not being taught about the power we have within us if we could just abstain and direct it towards something physical, for example. The concept is called sexual transmutation. And, it's basically a man can accomplish great things if you manage to harness your sexual power and don't let it run wild. But that's probably a good place to close it off, guys. Thank you so much for joining the live stream. I'm going to get on Discord right now. We're going to start setting up the stage. And we're going to listen to some new people that didn't get to tune in last time. Hear everybody's stories and do some more Q&As, man. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Love you guys. Everybody doing the challenge and all the support. And we'll see you next time.